Stocks on the editor's radar. Let's find out what we're talking about today. And we're discussing the power sector and also talking about Interglobe Aviation or Indigo. What a move, Nikunj, that we've seen in Indigo. In fact, the stock in the last 3 months has gained a solid 28%. It's the top gainer in the Bloomberg World Airline Index. Lots of factors fueling this.
Yeah, it's I told you so kind of in stock. It was perhaps 3 months ago, almost like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
What I think has added to this entire altitude gain in the Indigo stock is first the industry.
Yeah.
You got GoAir and you got SpiceJet. They both are going through a very turbulent time right now. That means additional capacity has got freed up by competition. Typically when that happens, it's the incumbent who always gains. And we've seen the impact of GoAir, especially in some of the routes where Indigo and GoAir were competing. Now that GoAir is out, now that SpiceJet is also out, SpiceJet also had a lot of these small routes where they were operating. And GoAir had a lot of these niche places where they were operating. Indigo is quick to grab a spot there, and they've been disproportionate beneficiary. So that's where the consolidation is happening. Markets were worried about Tata's coming in. Markets were worried about competition coming from Jet. Markets were worried about competition which could come from Akasa. Small, but the formidable one was Tata. Tatas are taking the time to scale up because, scaling up an airline is not that easy. Scaling up an airline is not like adding, chip and a cloud device to your memory. It takes time. Airlines, delivery, negotiation, and I think that is where the Tatas are taking time to scale up their capacity. Third, the concern for Indigo was that between the promoters, Mr. Gangwal has been selling his stake down. Looks like for next 2 months, there is no additional block which is there on the table. And if that was not enough, crude prices are down.
Yeah.
So if you frankly ask me, I think Indigo for me becomes like one of those obvious and a simple bet on consumption. I traveled over the weekend, and when I went away, the flight was chock-a-block. When I came back, the flight was chock-a-block. The flight was so full that the crew actually requested us to give our cabin cargo at the check-in so that it didn't go into the cargo.
Yeah.
So that is the kind of
they're packed to capacity and you're paying also that kind of
So pricing power, crude down, competition going down, everything is falling in line with Indigo. I somehow feel that this company still deserves a better stock. Of course, there's a promoter overhang there, but looks like for next 2 months, it's not there.
Okay, so like you said, it's pretty logical as to why one should be looking at Indigo. But moving on, let's discuss those power stocks as well, and interesting moves that we've seen on a year-to-date basis in terms of the valuation as well, and a number of triggers as well that's keeping them in the spotlight.
We normally tend to ignore how power stocks have done. What a comeback it's been in NTPC, what a comeback it's been in REC and PFC. It's a complicated sector. It's a sector which is marred with regulation. It's a sector where we know that the sensitivity to coal, sensitivity to interest rate is very strong. But the sector where cleanup actually has started. It's a sector where promises are now turning into reality. So it's a sector where you may not see like a huge uptick in earnings from next quarter, but it's a sector where I think demand, the entire hygiene, visibility of profitability, pricing power and tariff pass-through, everything is kicking in. And if that was not enough, coal prices have also come down. So if you frankly ask me, there's one sector where you know that the demand is going to be strong, the regulations are getting better. It's a difficult sector to track, Avanne. It's a difficult sector to track. But I, for one, feel that this entire shift towards non-fossil, I think it's still a distance away, which means that in the near term, the capacity addition will lie with thermal. The capacity addition will lie with the traditional conventional sources. And that's where a company like NTPC or a JSW Energy actually would benefit. Tata Power also in the right space at the right time.
Okay, that's the view coming in, Anisha, from the editor's radar.